For the past few weeks, I've been diving deep into making ambient music because I rediscovered granular synthesis. Have you ever messed with granular synthesis? If you haven't, granular synthesis is basically a process where you take a sample, any kind of sound, and you use a tool that slices that sound into tiny little bits, and then you trigger those tiny little bits, those grains, in sort of a cloud formation. So you can take the texture of any sound, but you deconstruct it into this kind of abstract sound color rather than literally just playing the sound. A few weeks ago, I visited my friend who makes cymbals for a living, and together we recorded a whole bunch of cymbal sounds. So here's one of them, for example. And if you put that into a granular synthesizer, you might get this. Or this. The simplest way to do it would be to use a tool like the Granulator in Ableton Live. I'll show you that in the software. And then we'll also look together at the hardware. A eurorack unit called the multigrain by Intellijel. So that's a way to do it in the eurorack modular synthesizer world. Let's hop into it. All right, so once you put the Granulator in, it's right here, and we just need to drag in a sample there. And so this is very much like a sampler. Our original sound sounds like this. And so when I hit a note on the keyboard on our sampler now, you can see it being triggered here. And the idea is that we're going to turn it into an abstract soundscape or a sound texture rather than literally a symbol, right? So one of the things that I would do in the Granulator is I would hold down a key and hit hold. This will just keep it moving. I don't have to use my hands. And I can now move around, finding the beautiful parts. The texture here is very fresh and clean, so let's use that. But as you can notice, it's a bit machine-like, right? It's like, we're trying to create something organic. And so we're going to add some variation. That's already a lot better. It's a bit too much. Bring it back. And one of the things that it responds very well to is some very light modulation. So I like to put an LFO next to it, bring the depth all the way down, and map it to, for example, the start position and maybe the grain size. And then slowly bring in. So we've created an endless symbol right now. Let's move around, see if there's places where it sounds even better. This is quite nice. It's this kind of big oscillation movement. And so this way you can create drones, you can create walls of sound very, very easily, as you can imagine. Let's try some different sounds. Let's try a different sound on that one. Something more percussive. Totally different universe. So what can we do with this? Well, first of all, we can make the grain size bigger. Maybe we can stop mapping the position and just the grain size. Find a sweet spot. Yeah. Oh, here we go. That's cool. And now one of the things that you can do is you can play it up and down the keyboard as well. I've got a keyboard down here. There's some envelope settings on the other page. So you can make some crazy effects with this. Let's put some reverb on there. So what I would do in this case is I would create a new audio track, I would record from it, and then arm both tracks and create a library of sound effects for myself. think my friend Mariano called it the most beautiful white noise. What great sound effects, huh? Now these kind of oscillation voices are great to do, but another thing that granulators are great at is creating drones. So if you move it away from one of these transients, and instead you just make it quite short, let's not do that oscillation, or at least not as much. And we make the shape nice and even. Here we go. Here's a beautiful little wall of sound. Let me try a few different places on the keyboard to see if it becomes more beautiful. That's soft. But as a wall of sound with a lot of personality, I find this quite beautiful. For example, let's record this. Just record, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds of it. And then you create a new track where you just layer some of those cymbals over the drone. This is what we get. It's a whole sound world. Let's see if I can find another sweet spot for a drone. I found that loop mode is particularly good for drones. Because in loop mode you can also reverse some of them. You can't hear this on a small sound system, but on a big sound system, this is incredible. Oh, here we go. Boom, we're creating beautiful atmospheres and soundscapes with granular synthesis. So let's try the same thing with a vocal. Here's the original. It's a friend of mine who has a very beautiful, almost flute-like voice. Let's granulate that. Wow. Let's play some chords. Just make an endless vocal drone from this. Wow. Can you see how granular synthesizers open up a sound palette that lets you explore sound in such a deconstructed and abstract way that your experience of the sound is very pure? Because you don't really have that many references for it. You really have to listen, like, what am I hearing? What's beautiful about this? What's not? Now let's mess around with some parameters. See what happens. You create this world of things coming and going, these oscillations. It's so gentle and beautiful. And you can do these momentarily sort of transient oscillation things, or you can have just drones. You can create so many energy shapes with this. It's such a beautiful tool. Robert Henke's granulator honestly is a tool that you could already spend a whole lifetime inside of, but in the eurorack system there is also something called the intellijel multigrain, which does something kind of similar. Let me show you real quick. Now this, for example, is the IntelliGel multigrain. It is also a granular synthesizer. It's almost like a eurorack version of the granulator. And you can load in on the SD card your own samples, and so here are those cymbals again. It comes with loads of lovely presets designed by wonderful people. So of course I encourage you to explore that, but of course I couldn't resist putting my little cymbals on there. And here again, I've taken an LFO and hooked it up to the size of the grains to create this kind of oscillating, coming and going feeling. And you can also hit latch. So again, you don't have to hold down the keys. You can just do your thing looking for sweet spots. For example, let's go faster. When we take a faster setting like this, let's explore some sweet spots elsewhere. That's a beat and a half. That's all from one sound. How gorgeous is that? There's also an input on this, so you can be resampling whatever's coming into it. You can just hit record. And so what we're then going to hear is this plonk going into the input and it resampling parts of that. Let's try some different presets on the plonk. And of course, I advise you to record all of this as samples so that then you can use them in combination with other beautiful sounds to create your compositions. I'm curious to explore the multigrain as a send and return effect to create interesting secondary layers and interest in my live sets as well. I think that's going to be a good time. So over the winter, I'm going to be deepening my research into workflows with granular synthesis. So leave me a comment if you know something about this that you think I should know, a tool I should explore, something fun. A few weeks ago I did a video about NIMB and the comments were insane. No input mixing board. The comments gave me so many cool ideas and cool artists to listen to. So thank you so much for being in the comments, letting me know what else to explore and what's cool in this experimental music area. Let me know what you do with granular synthesis or just say something nice to me. Go follow one of my courses if that's your thing. And until next time, stay producing, be good to each other, and take care. Bye-bye.